Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Bob Talk on Bob's Radio. My name is Rio Raymond. I'm in the company of someone who's very well established in the city, who's got a lot of history as far as Bangalore's concerned. And of course, history when it comes to her being who she is as well. Shubha Rajan, Mrs. India Karnataka, and an amazing homemaker that you are. Thank you so much for joining us on this Women's Day special.
Thank you so much, Rio, and I so glad to be at Bob's Radio today.
Yeah, we're going to put a scene because that's what our tagline is. Have you ever heard of this tagline called "Let's put one scene" in Bangalore?
Scene hakona is a common slang, but yeah, literally.
Scene hakona. Okay.
I've not heard of that.
No, of course you've heard of it. Like there is a thing about the way people talk in a very colloquial way.
Yes.
Scene hakona, ek scene dalte hain kya? And then I think it goes across to different parts of the city. Like in central Bangalore, let's put one scene. Then you go towards South Bangalore, like scene hakona. Then you go to another side, it's like scene podlama. And the language just changes.
Right.
But then when you all come together, you're just talking in that one common language. And it's like, what da bugger? It becomes Bangalore. Well, it's so much of a pleasure to talk to any old school Bangalorean because there's so much of nostalgia and vintage stuff that comes out. But this is not about an old school vintage show. This is about you. This is about Women's Day special. And quickly to just get everyone who's watching to understand in terms of Shubha Rajan is a bona fide Bangalorean.
Yes, born and brought up in Bangalore.
Right? And getting into the pageant scene, when was it? Was it before getting married or post that as well?
No, much after marriage and motherhood. So I had started modeling, say around 2012, 2013 types, and then this pageant happened in 2016.
Right.
Yeah, so it just happened. It was the first edition of Mrs.India Karnataka that was starting in Bangalore, and one of my friends said, "Why not give it a try?"
Uh-huh.
So just went there, did it, and got it.
And like they say, shub shub maurat for Shubha, what?
Yeah, I mean, the stars were with me. Yeah.
So before you got into that first ever stint of modeling, what were you doing before that?
So I started off modeling small, just as a hobby because I was actually working with Jet Airways for a few years. And then, so when I had my daughter, I thought now is the time I should be at home now and give that time to my daughter, her upbringing and stuff. So I became a homemaker, a complete homemaker. So it went on for about 7-8 years. And yeah, by the time my daughter was 7-8, then I thought I should now actually do something, something very different and something that is also like a hobby and something that keeps me going and maybe something that can give me an identity. So going for a full-time job again was not my option. Initially thought of going back to the airline, but then, airline timings are crazy and it wouldn't suit my family life. So that's when randomly I think it just happened that I happened to do a couple of photo shoots with a few friends. And then when I uploaded it on social media, people started liking the pictures and they said, "Hey, I think you're made for this. And,
Okay.
You should start thinking on those lines." So that's when the
whole, like they say, the whole spark of it started.
The whole thing.
I'm very keen to understand this part of it. I've met quite a lot of women who have probably, been pretty much doing just, home related work and stuff and taking care of family. Then something happens. And then they become something completely different. Like in terms of the person they are.
Right.
They say, right, if you have an identity, you become a personality. And they tend to become a completely different person. I'm not saying the family life's taken a backseat. What I'm trying to say is, you tend to see a very great and confident side of you. Now, for that to happen, there could have been some place that it all sparked off. Something could have happened, or maybe there was something that made you realize, okay, I should start doing something like this. Was there some sort of a moment for you as well?
No moment really. Actually, when I saw the pictures myself, I kind of started liking me in them, and I was loving the entire process of posing in front of the camera,
Uh-huh.
So I could speak to the camera. I discovered that I had this passion to pose and passion to connect with the camera. So that is what actually is a requirement for every model, right? So, but yeah, at that time for me, I was married, I was a mother, so the whole entire status was entirely different. Somebody perceives a model as somebody who's young, who is in the 20s, who's probably got a size 0 figure, those kind of things. And so suddenly where this middle-aged woman comes from, she's in her 30s and, she's a little the motherly material. But it took a lot of time for people to accept this kind of situation. But today what I see is there is so much of demand for people like me, a middle-aged woman who is trying to come to her second phase of life and prove to the world that she also could be a model, though she's a mother, though she's a wife, and all of those things. So the acceptance has grown leaps and bounds. But when I started, luckily, thanks to the pageant, I think just the entire thing just boomed up for me and opened up so many avenues and doors for probably a lot of work
Right.
also, a lot of recognition, and a platform for me to open up to my thoughts and connect with the public. So the small name that I've earned today is probably thanks to the pageant, I would say.
Small name. I don't know why you make it sound so modest. It's not a small name. Shubha Rajan is quite the name in the pageant scene in the city, I'm sure. But see, Shubha, there's one thing that happens is when you get into a pageant scene, like especially coming off of motherhood, just right there. What is the biggest challenge that you faced in terms, like, say, for example, today, if a woman has to think beyond her family life, there is a lot of thinking that goes in, and then comes sacrifices for her to go on to do something. What was it like for you?
See, definitely one is your own family would be like shocked, right? When I went and told them that I wanted to model. And definitely nobody from my family background was into all of this. Fashion industry was like actually almost a no-no, So we're all into white-collar jobs, and no one would want to buy that. So a lot of convincing went inside that, and I told them that, see, this is not an age where fashion for me is just about skin show. It is something that you could do something still very aesthetically, gracefully. I'm a model for saris, I'm a model for jewelry. So I take the call and, what I need to show the public and how much I should show the public. So, and it is not that I'm in, dire need of money that I would be ready to do anything. It's not even that scenario, right? I've come into this industry because I have a passion to do things. So I take the call. I hold the reins of the horse. So I had to do a lot of convincing, and finally, of course, my husband was very supportive. He said, okay. So I have my boundaries set for myself. Yeah. So it is not that I would be ready to do any kind of shoot. I do have that boundary set for myself. I'm so happy with what I'm doing. It's okay. It may not be like a lot of work that a much younger girl is doing. Obviously, you don't get that kind of work, but it's okay. Still,
But it brings you a sort of a balance with everything.
it definitely gives me a balance, and I choose to make that balance. Still, I could, if I wanted, I can still do shoots outside Bangalore and Chennai and all that. You have a lot of modeling
Right.
offers where for bigger brands, their sari brands are huge there. So I keep getting a lot of calls, and of course acting. That's one thing. When you're in the fashion industry, immediately the acting world calls you in. So I made a conscious call not to go inside it, predominantly because I wanted to balance house and passion.
Right.
Yeah, so that was a conscious decision I took, and I don't call it compromise, because whatever you do for the family should not be termed compromise, because you're doing it from a space of love. Compromise becomes a sacrificial word. That's a decision I took with all acceptance and happiness. It's okay. I don't get into acting, so what? I mean, not right now, probably, because my priority was my daughter growing up. Now she has to finish her education, so I want to be around there. I have an old mother at home, so I want to be there. So
You just beautifully coined that whole thing of the difference between sacrifice and compromises as to what you need to do. And that is something I believe, maybe I'm wrong at saying this, but that is something lacking in today's world, because it's so competitive and so fast paced that people don't think of people around them, but they focus like the horses with blinds. It's more about my goals and my vision, and that's how what people are going. And it's good to hear someone like you say that family is important. Now, as we talk about family, let's talk a little more about this pageant thing that you've been part of. What does a pageant bring to someone when they're part of it, or when they go on to win it as well? What is the kind of what do you say, the kind of pathway that it creates for somebody?
Major pathways, of course, the recognition is one aspect. So the moment you win the crown, you're all over the papers, and people start saying, okay, this is this person, she's won the so and so crown. So, and also, if you're really looking at the acting industry and modeling industry, it's surely a great path,
Right.
right on path. So you have the right contacts around there in the industry, so they immediately could grab you. If you're open to those kind of offers, and it's just not about modeling and acting. It is also about connection to people from a lot
The networking.
of sectors of life. Where, see, for me, I got connected to people from the social service sectors, where they wanted my voice in order to help other people. So, I took up a lot of activities like that. I became a ambassador for a social service organization. So whatever fundraising they wanted to do for whatever causes. So if I could use my voice and my fame to generate some revenue for them. Why not,
Right.
So I was I love dogs, so I started doing a lot for animal shelters and the dog shelters. So with my contacts, with whatever I could give back, so it is also, you can use this platform not just for your own personal growth,
But for the betterment of the
but
society.
also for the betterment of society in a lot of ways if you want to.
Not something I've heard wholeheartedly someone say it. Like, we know that when someone wins a pageant, they are called for a lot of CSR activities and a lot of social events as sorts. But then it's more like a scripted way of saying things. But when you really hear someone speak from the heart, you can actually tell. And this is what's happening when I speak to you. Because I know it's not a facade that you put out to say, okay, I've won this particular thing. This is my pageant. I'm doing social events. Because the way you say it actually makes a difference in, how you use this particular crown to better the lives of other people. So thank you for doing what you do at your best.
I think that's the difference between a Miss and a Mrs. somewhere, honestly, because a Mrs. Has gone through so much in experiences in life and so much maturity, and she can definitely offer a lot more on the table than what a Miss would do. So yeah, it's just not about being a model, but it's about being a role model.
Role model. Yeah. Well, couldn't have put it better than that. Now, when you go for these events as such, right? You of course tend to click pictures, and all of that goes onto your social media platforms. Yes. Even with the previous person I interviewed, I didn't want to make them sound old, but then you do come from a certain place of time where doing something on social media seems a little distant, right? And yet you have amassed a massive following of over close to 120k followers. Do you post this? How did this whole social media journey start for you?
I guess in today's world, it becomes important that we are relevant on social media, much as to discomfort sometimes, but it does help. It does help in staying there and being in people's eyes, so that it's one way good for you and your own growth and whatever you've been doing. It adds to that value. So thanks to I think the fashion industry also, because of the modeling shoots that I do, and there tends to be some kind of posts which are glamorous in nature. So obviously, when there's a mixture of glamour, there is again something else which adds value, which I'm also a motivational speaker, so I keep posting videos whenever I go to some event, a school or a college. So in whatever knowledge wisdom I can impart, whatever with my life's experiences, whatever I talk to students or I talk to women groups. So yeah, I try to post that content also, so that a lot of other people are benefited as well. So I guess the following is a mixture of wanting.
It's a combination of everything that goes about.
Yeah. So.
Do you post all of your content, or take care of all the posts and timelines and everything?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and you've learned the art of everything as well. Or it's an ever-growing process.
Though I would say I could have put in a lot more of effort into the way current generation makes reels are amazing. I feel like how much time are they putting into editing the whole thing and putting the whole thing together, and I honestly don't have that kind of time. One, because obviously
because you figured the algorithm anyway, seems like.
Could have done better, but I don't have the time.
But have you figured the algorithm?
Sort of.
Would you want to give us a little tidbit?
Instagram honestly works with, I think glamour is something that sad to say, but it does sell big time. Big time.
But would you say that is because Instagram as a platform, would you say that's because of the eyeballs that are viewing your content?
It could be they generally look for that kind of content. See, if I put a post of glamorous nature, the views are just rapidly going up, tuck, and say I do something else with an animal or with something like a service-oriented post or even probably a motivational post, the reach is coming down.
Somehow, it is glamour, but glamour on Instagram is with a different term that needs to be coined of how it's viewed at, and cringe. These two sell on Instagram like how? Because I'm not saying this because we do kind of a certain kind of a content, it doesn't go viral. But when you look at the content that is getting the numbers, it is cringy. You're also giggling at it. But then you're the same person who's going to share, and then you're like, why are my videos not getting views? Right? So it is like somewhere it's like, you resonate with that content because you find it funny. It's cringy.
Yeah, people like cringy humor. People like glamour. People like something which is very vague. They would comment and say all sorts of things about it, but then that will be the most viewed, and it's okay. I really, honestly, I don't run behind views
Numbers.
and numbers. No, never.
I mean, you anyway got a good backing of 120k
As
followers,
long
which
as
has
I
come
get
organically.
as long as I get some quality people who like what I'm doing and appreciate it and say, hey, this is post and this is what you spoke and we loved it, and that makes me happy. Rather than
All the
100
clutter.
idiots coming and saying you look this way, you look that way, you look gorgeous, you look hot. I mean, that really, really doesn't matter to me, honestly. But it's just going because the whole gram has to keep running for me. It goes on
Because if they comment, apna chalta hai.
so the more engagement it is, fine,
Yeah.
it's better for me, but not that I really enjoy that kind of attention like that. But
How do you deal with comments like that? Because I know for women, especially on platforms like this, it's very hard because every now and then there's somebody DMing you something or the other, and sometimes the comments are nasty. And I've seen it like, sometimes you just go to a post to read the comments because they're either funny or they're just very aggressively, for lack of better term, obnoxious and dirty and whatever you could call it. How do you deal with something? Because I'll tell you what, from my point of view, you look like someone who's quite busy, running a home, going about for events. Your day looks like this. Do you have the time to be bothered about all this?
I do read because I want to know what people think about what I'm posting. So if it is something like of a sexual nature, generally I just give it a go, or I just delete it at the most if I don't think it is suitable for others to view it. So otherwise you generally block and keep quiet. But there are some people who are probably jealous of your success. That's a comment of a different kind. Body shaming comments are a lot which I've faced. But you need to take that. I mean, not everybody accepts the fact that you're not really like a young woman here with a size 0 figure. Oh, you call yourself a model, but you don't. Your body is not like this. You're not really. You're whatever comments that is. You're a curvaceous side, and that's okay. I mean, for me, however,
If that's working for you, it's working for you.
That's the way I am. Yeah, you take it or leave it. Who's asking you really to, be here and feel bad? And you like my personality. It's just not about a body. It is about the whole personality. And you like the vibe I'm giving out to you. You like, you feel I'm motivating you, or you feel there is something that you take away from this one. Be there. Otherwise, don't be there. So initially, I used to react. I used to give back, and then I thought, what is the point actually? Of late, I just ignore, delete. And there's the other side who are really like, sometimes they make you feel like, I'm in love with you, and they go on and on and on, sending all kinds of mushy posts, and these kind of love-struck loonies who are there. They're okay that you're a mother. They're okay that,
These are all youngsters, or like you're saying?
I probably feel they are somebody much younger.
Okay.
Yeah, so usually 20s, 30s, I don't know. There's this huge fascination for matured women, I think. So there are a lot of people like that.
I mean, it's how the social media construct is in terms of content. Like, there are certain kinds of, I mean, age-wise, people are labeled in a certain format, and hence there is a crowd that will always follow the trend and say, like, for lack of a better way of saying it, but they say, "Bhai, auntie ki photo hai, auntie ki thing," and then that's how they go.
Auntie is one common tagline that they'll
Yeah.
you with, but.
Has your husband read any of the comments and asked you what is all this about? I mean, not like coming at you, but in terms of support of what you do.
Luckily, he's not somebody who gets too nosy because he knows what's happening. As long as my posts are not over the board and overly, looking bad or anything. So I can look glamorous, but I can't look cheap. That is something which I have a thing for my own self. So he's okay with it. He's as long as it's really not bad, or
I don't think from whatever I saw was bad. It, like you said,
barrier.
It's about a great vibe that you bring. You look like a diva when you walk on the ramp, or just pretend to walk around like you're walking on the ramp as well. Just there's a little jig in the feet when you move around, and that's really good to watch because for women at that particular age, it's motivating to see that there is no need to be shying yourself away from doing certain things because you hit a certain age.
Correct.
You can go about being a part of adventures.
Living your life.
Yeah.
It is just not that my life is over. So this is one thing I used to tell all women groups, especially when they wanted motivation. Life is not over after you have children. You can still. What is the problem in looking good? What is the problem in dressing well? you know.
It just
So
adds to personality and
it
confidence.
just adds so much to your confidence and so much of life into you that your health improves. Yeah, when you feel good, you look good, you feel healthy. You just everything the whole wellness aspect of the woman changes, right?
Right.
So why not? What is the problem? So
Yeah, and also if you have someone who's even more supportive, it makes a huge difference.
it does. Because I know that there are some men who wouldn't probably.
I mean, it's not the case with everybody, but in
Some
small
people they do
ways.
tell me that no, the family doesn't like me wearing this kind of. Okay, I mean that's all very individualistic.
Yeah,
So as long as you can, just live your life, be happy, put some colors on you. What is the problem? Try and look
add the
great. Yeah,
vibrance.
yeah.
Well, with someone watching this, oh, you have a supportive husband, so it's good for you to say. But let's say, for example, somebody who wants that kind of way to support their respective spouses and stuff. From your point of view, in your experience, what would you tell, the husbands or the men watching on how they could support their women? Like the small things they could. It's not about, I believe in one thing, when a guy tells a girl to dress a certain way, it's not because he's stopping you from dressing in that way. It's because he knows what other men are thinking, right? And sometimes it comes across wrong when you tell a woman that it's not like I don't want you to wear it. Wear it when I'm around, it's okay. Wear it when a certain crowd is there. But then there is a point where we think like what other men think like. And we know what other men are going to be thinking and what they will end up doing when they watch someone wearing a certain sort of a cloth or a dress for the matter of fact. So when that kind of a thing is said to people, I know men don't mean any harm or any malice when they say that. But then there is a way when women get offended by things like the way the man is said to them. What is your way of saying, okay, you know what, if there is a way you need to talk to someone about certain ways of certain ways of doing something, how would you say it and what would you say it?
Again, it's between the entire equations between the couple. I'm sure the man says it because he doesn't want another man to look at you in a certain way. But again, I guess it's entirely between the couple, and there are some men who are very okay, like even if you're like very ultra glamorous, they're still okay. Some people are like, okay, moderately, you dress well, you look good, it's still okay. But yeah, there are some men who just don't want you to look good. It's a very, very case to case basis, and I'm sure there is no one prescription to
Yeah.
fit all of this. So it's between the couple to talk it out and sort it out, I guess. But to one extent, I think you should allow your partner to, express or dress the way she wants to dress, unless, of course, it should not be looking too bad. It should not respect the barriers of the house. There's always, for every household has their own kind of barriers and respect. So you need to respect that also.
Like you need to read the room well.
You need to really, my in-laws don't like some kind of clothing. For me, I would not really dress up in a way that they don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So these are some things that every marriage, I think even the woman should understand and do it. So, if my in-laws like me only in saris or salwars, I go in front of them only in saris or salwars. So everything depends. So if he's okay with you wearing a certain kind of clothes when you both are out together, or, when you're out with your friends, but just at least, you don't wear these kind of clothes in front of my family, you have to be okay with it. Otherwise, how else would you make a marriage work?
Right.
You just can't have your way all the time and just say, I am going to dress this way, I am going to talk this way, I'm going to act this way. That doesn't work.
Are you a feminist by any chance?
Not really.
Do you believe, okay, maybe feminism when it sprung out or when it started, it was for the betterment and equality of everyone around. But today, do you think it is the case?
I think women have gone too far about this feminism whole thing. They just I think sometimes I feel they're overly blowing this up. They also, I think, need to support and understand where men are coming from. It just can't be women's agenda everywhere. I want only the women's thoughts and personalities and voices. It has to be an equal online. When we talk about gender equality, you have to value both opinions.
Battles need to be equal.
So it just can't be that now you're trying to raise women up so much that you're trying to subdue men down. That doesn't work like that. So I am somebody who believes in a balance. It is just not that because I'm a woman, everything that a woman does has to be on top. Wherever you need to hold the balance, you need to hold the balance.
Like they say, too much of anything is bad. Do you think it's gone far too ahead and it's somewhere got to a point it becomes very irritating to someone from the opposite side, from the same side?
I've heard of men facing these kind of situations sometimes, especially at work, where they play the woman card too much, and I don't want to comment anything about that. But yeah, women should probably also heed to men wherever it is required, and not really play this up too much.
See, I also know that to an extent, there was a time when women were in the kitchen and were always put in the kitchen. But then times have grown and people have evolved, and the status of a woman has also evolved, not just at home but also in society. And to an extent, people will say, okay, the woman is where today she is because a man let her be. But I wouldn't want to believe that. There have been women who fought their way up and have come to where they are. But in literal sense, to keep this ideology of feminism, let's say what it was built for equality, if women have, or rather let's say the two of them have to coexist amicably without any malice, what would be your advice? Because you have seen it all, being a single woman and also a married woman. You've seen both the lives that is being much of debate today.
For a man and woman to coexist, I think both voices must be equally heard, equally respected. That is all it is. So you just need to hear each other out perfectly well, give each other that enough space and room to work out, okay, this is your problem, let me try and see how I can sort it out, or this is your problem, let me see how we can sort that out. So here nobody should take the upper. It should not be like I am going to take the upper hand or you're going to take the upper hand. So that is perfect. So you're coexisting. That means you are valuing each other's opinions and voices equally, and give each other equal space to be heard, to be seen, and to function. So that is the only way you can coexist.
And as the whole Women's Day ideology is about empowering women, what is your way of empowering women? What is empowering women to you mean like?
Empowerment for me is giving women a voice and a choice to be what she wants to be, to do what she wants to do. So if you're going to give her that basic choices, like even what is the course that I want to study, right? From in rural areas, you will have somebody always telling you probably that I'm the father, you have to do this, then the husband, you have to do this. So give her, see what her dreams are, what her passions are, what she wants to do. So it is giving her a voice and a choice to do things. So that is truly empowering her to be able to take her own decisions. And if she decides that she wants to stay at home, well and good. There are a lot of women, I don't see anything wrong in that, honestly. Or she still wants to
It's
go
their
out.
choice at the end of the day.
It's a choice, and she can do it beautifully well also. There is actually no problem with women. Because yeah, so that's what empowerment is. You just like I was saying. So a woman is actually a notch more responsible for the running of the house. You know, as much as we say that now today both partners are equal, we both together run the house, and somewhere. Don't you think that still the kids still need the mother more for a lot of things, for their emotional wellness? They need the mother more, or anything going wrong in the house, I think the woman takes that higher step and say, I know what is happening, okay, I'll fix that. So she knows a lot more about the working of the house than a man does. So it's like, you know, both the voices have to be at the end of the day respected, and that's all an empowerment is all about. You need to make her feel seen, heard, and let her follow her dreams.
You know, I have to give credit where credit is due. I don't think any man can take care of a house like a woman does, because I've been trying in my house and I've been failing miserably.
Honestly, that is
because
probably the way they are wired.
Yeah,
it is nobody's fault.
both are wired differently.
Yeah.
And they're wired to have that balance when you come across together. And I don't think any man, I'm going to reiterate the fact that I don't think any man can take care of a house or even maintain a house as good as a woman.
Correct. I agree, much as probably some women today may not try to agree on this, but coming from an old school of thought, I still feel that the woman is a person who can make a house a home for sure.
Yeah. And that's why they say it's a lady in the house who makes that, like they said, the house a home, is who brings the whole family together, who unites that whole family, who puts these knittings in together and stitches that whole home together. And as much as they say, okay, woman, you know, once she goes work and stuff, she's not going to be bothered about her family. There are various cases that differ from this particular saying. But I believe if the reason why, as man, I would like to say this, is that a woman is a superior being, is because she can do everything and everything around you at a much better quality level and quantified level than a man. And a man respects that. But somewhere over time, things have derailed into a different topic and different kind of a discussion. But today, I want to thank you for coming out. I wouldn't say you supported men, but you just empowered women in a different way for a lot of men listening in. Some feminists would say, "What the hell is this guy even saying?" But there's always going to be an open way of dialogue and exchange for us to have this exchange of opinions, and that's going to differ and sometimes come across together
I
too.
certainly wouldn't say no that women have been subdued, women have been oppressed and suppressed. All of that is true. But somewhere again, you have to also make that effort to keep that balance. That is what I'm saying. So you just can't keep trying to say, till today I was suppressed, so now I'm going to hold the upper hand and you have to listen to me. You're, below me. That can't work.
But that also is coming because somebody else was suppressed. You were tom-tommed about that particular story. Now you want to implement that into your life when that is not even the case.
It's not even. I mean, yeah, today's generation honestly needs some amount of counseling on this, because looking at the way the marriages are failing, and I see all of that. At least our generation, we still knew how to, or we still know what to do to keep it together. It's not that everything is a bed of roses at the end of the day, but how we work and what the kind of mindset we have, that how to work things together and keep it together. Today's younger kids are seriously lacking that. Seriously, on small reason, and they say, okay, we're we're just moving out, and that's really sad to see.
I mean, it's not just I wouldn't blame just the women in this, because there are both sides to be involved.
Yeah.
But somewhere I was watching this one particular video about how a counselor at the court, from a family court, was mentioning that today it is the women who are the reason why there are so many divorces. It's the women why the reason that so many families are breaking. Now, of course, it's very disheartening for anyone who believes in a family life. Even for a woman who's standing and looking at this, it's like your gender being questioned, like your people being questioned. But at the end of the day, I think somewhere this stems out of that whole thing about a whole lifestyle has changed. For example, when people were working back in the day, husband would go to work and come back, the wife would be at home, or vice versa, and the person at home is not in contact with anybody. Though they would call the husband up at the office and then call back and then receive that call and say, okay, fine, you're coming back home later. There was no interaction with people. Now, and that's the case with men as well. You have option to talk to plenty, option to interact with plenty. There's so much of connection that happens via social media, and you're constantly in connection with someone over video call. So maybe this is also played in a part where there is whether you want it or not, there will be a third person, and the third person's influence, whether it comes to you or your wife, it will play a part and a factor in.
It's always been the case. It's always been the case. What's new about any generation?
What I mean to say by generation is, one generation it was more about like the family would get involved. Though as much as you want to move out of your family today, it comes in from a factor from people around you, not the family. But I mean to say, you want to have a private life, so you go out of the family. But then in that whole private life, you have been talking to everybody else, and you've brought in a third person some way or the other by somehow discussing your issues with them, and whatever they say comes in.
Happens, yeah. The ills of nuclear family, I would say, yeah. No, it's problems of today's generation, again, with both going out to work, both being exposed to 100 people outside. Yeah, problems are a lot more than what it used to be at least 20, 30 years ago, right?
Right. But if you would say, let's better this time, it's very difficult, when you've gone a certain level, let's better this, is going to be something for the future ahead. What would Shubha's thoughts be? How do you better this to keep a whole knit family together?
I would say the woman must certainly think of balance when it came to her work and her family life. That is something that she needs to seriously think, because at the end of the day, I think a family needs a woman more, like we discussed. The kids definitely need their mother more. So how do you work around being there more for your family, more for your house, is what you need to decide. You need to prioritize. So balance between work and family life is something seriously this current generation needs to work on, because now I think women are out there in the world taking such dominating positions, which was not the case a few years ago. They are taking on roles which require so much of their time, so much of their effort, and they give it so much. They're giving everything to work, So work is taking the precedence over family. So that is what is happening. So this urge is mainly, I think, because women are trying to prove to the world that they're no less than any man. Yeah. So they want to prove that I can also do everything that, of course, you could do everything that is possible. But if you had help at home, and you're happy about it. See, today's women, the research says that they are guilty of not spending much time at home. That is a major problem of working women today, that they are also guilty that they're not able to give time to their kids. So where do you draw this line? Again, the decision lies with you, right? You make a conscious call. You take that conscious decision on where to draw the line. How far do I want to go in my work, area? How much work do I want to pile on myself? Do I really want to be this ambitious? What am I running behind for? Is it materialistic luxuries that I'm running behind, or is it just the power and the position that I'm looking for that makes me feel good, that makes me feel accomplished? So these are some questions that she has to ask herself and start setting boundaries. Otherwise, seriously, leaving kids with maids and, okay, maybe elders are there at home, but still the presence of a mother and also father to a large extent is extremely important. So as parents, if you're bringing in kids to this earth, if you made that decision, it is your also great amount of duty to give them that time. You just can't bring them to earth and say, I don't have the time. You make the time. So for me, if you ask me, like I said, I cut down on a lot of things. Like I didn't take up acting. I don't take up modeling offers outside Bangalore at all. Why? Because then I have to go travel. That takes away so much of time from my house. There are so many ways that I cut down on so many things. It's okay if my earnings come down by a little percentage, I'm still okay. And thankfully, maybe I'm not that ambitious that, I need to just go out there and prove so much to the world. I need to prove that, I am a good human being, but at the end of the day, I'm doing justice to my role. I'm doing justice to my kids. I'm doing justice to my house. That is what my predominant thought is. So it's a conscious call, that's all.
It's a conscious call, like you said, like bring about that balance. And also, it's funny how, we will never get to having an ideal world of balance, because years ago it was hating the men in a whole patriarchal society. Today it's, I wouldn't say hate, but getting a little irritated and I would say annoyed with the whole feminism ideology where it is today. And to see all of this come together, it's like there's always going to be hate on one side or the other. And to have that balance and have this ideal world, it's a distant future. I don't know when that will happen. But in just one thing that I want to ask you is, if you were to tell, how can a man better a woman's life? What would you say?
A woman all she asks for is usually what? Love and support and understanding. That is all it is. So it still continues to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just not, no woman likes to be tied down, at least today. She doesn't like to be told that you have to do this, you have to do that. So you also kind of respect where today's woman is coming from. Don't make her feel like she's your slave, or she's subdued to you, or she's indebted to you. Don't make her feel that. So all she asks is for you to make her feel an equal. And so if you can do that, then I think somewhere she also starts giving you that kind of equality and starts trying to work the whole scenario up. So yeah, give her a lot of love, give her a lot of support, and treat her like an equal. That's all she wants. So
I mean, women are bound to be queens for men. So there are ways men look at women in terms of equality and stuff. They always, I would speak for a lot of men and say that, people around me at least look at women as above them. And hence, you also, I'm sure, are looked up like that by your husband. Hence, he thinks you have created this beautiful family for yourself, not just as a woman, but as a homemaker. And that can only happen with a woman, I would say. I don't think it's, there are things that women do, there are things that men can never do what a woman does. And irreplaceable, and cannot be matched by any other being for whatever love and kindness and strength that you all possess. So I want to thank you for coming by and sharing your views, sharing your life with us, and also telling us the better ways of living in a coexisting world. Thank you so much, Shubha, and a very happy Women's Day to you.
Yeah, so like I said, you said, so women, I think, are the people who paint this canvas of earth with their unconditional love, with their strength and resilience. So, yeah, I would like to thank you for having me here to share my thoughts, and my thoughts are very much my thoughts. And if there are some women who probably wouldn't agree, well, I would say these are.
Then we have a problem with the society.
No. Truly, these are my thoughts, and I would say how I work around my life. Okay, so if this inspires you, it's great. Because we come from not the current generation, and we don't belong to an extremely old generation. So we are in that generation where we still
We're the bridge between the old and the
we
new.
are that bridge. So if you could take home something from my thoughts, I'm happy. So I wish all women out there a very happy Women's Day, and I would say we are very happy and glad that God created us women, and I'm happy that there are men like you who also places superior and think of us as great beings. So thank you for that.
Thank you for coming by, and absolute pleasure to speak my heart out for you. But also, just to add to that, you said that it won't be an ideal society, or there'll be a problem with the society if they don't agree with what you're saying. The reason I said that is because if you can't have a healthy dialogue, exchange of opinions, then there is a problem, because everything can't be, oh, I hate you because you don't make sense to what I believe in.
Correct.
So on that was the only note. She still makes sense for whatever you think otherwise.
To respect each other's differences also. That's what makes a relationship. That's what makes a marriage work. So we have our own opinions. We have a lot of different opinions, but at the end of the day, just respect each other's opinions.
I think that's what both of us want: love and respect, and you have something blossoming out to be really beautiful over time.